David DeGuzman inside the NBC4 Digital Center for the latest edition of the Digital Sports Roundtable. We are getting ready to go to a baseball field. Well, I'm not, but Joe Nugent is. He's also joined by Whitney Harding. We got Ohio State versus Northwestern, but we're going to start with the bit of an elephant in the room because it's now become a trend. So this game starts at noon Eastern. Last week started at noon Eastern. Next week against Indiana, noon Eastern. Oh, and by the way, Ohio State, Michigan, noon. By the time this season ends, they're going to finish with 6 consecutive noon starts. Now, Ryan Day and Will Howard both addressing that elephant in the room. And they said all the right things. Doesn't matter what time that they're told to play, they'll show up and play. However, we all have our preferences as to when we'd like. Personally, I'd like to sleep in a little bit. So like for me, like personally, 3:30 is a nice like sweet spot for me. Your thoughts though on just because there's a lot of layers to this. Noon starts in general, and just the number of times Ohio State has had to play at noon. And I'm sure, Joe, if you want to start, there's also obviously the TV aspect to it. I think our listeners and our viewers know that, most of the time noon start means on Fox. Most people know that NBC has the primetime slot and CBS is the 3:30 slot. But obviously that's a big element as to why they end up playing at noon all the time.
Yeah, Fox has the first choice more weeks than the other networks. So that's why Ohio State is finding itself at noon more times than not. And Whitney can talk about how there's another team that could possibly help Ohio State in this situation, but they're not getting the job done.
No, they're not. And that's kind of the problem here is, first off, when we mention this other team, we also have to mention the game is always noon. The game is always going to be noon. Yeah. That's not even a Fox so much issue. That is, the game is a noon start.
Yep.
That's just how it goes. Okay, so that game's going to be a noon kick. But Michigan needs to step it up. And that is the issue here is when Fox looks at the games, they, of course, want the games that bring in the most viewers. And if you put Ohio State on any time of day, it could be midnight. And people are going to watch. And so that is a reason why they're getting all these noon kicks, because they're looking at these slate of games. They're looking at the teams. It's not going to be a West Coast team, so you can't put Oregon there for an Oregon home game because that's a 9 a.m. start. So what are they going to do? You put Ohio State in there because people are going to watch. And it's because the team up north is just not getting it done this year. So it's not exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I could nerd out all we want about, and I won't get too deep into it, but obviously this noon window wasn't used to be a thing. Then, obviously Big Ten starts making deals. Every conference started making deals, and Fox realized that noon window is something that they could have capitalized on. They pay a lot of money to get the best Big Ten games, and they put it in that noon window because they have that Fox Big Noon Kickoff. It leads into that noon window. So there's obviously a lot of money involved in there.
And it's also not just Big Ten. Big 12 has had that spot before, but think of the teams that were usually in that spot.
Right.
They're gone. They are now in the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma. So what? You're just going to put Kansas State in there?
Right.
No offense to K-State. They were a consistent football team every year.
Yeah.
They are. But it's not sexy.
And I think the complaints generally surround the idea of playing at the same time each week. Like, I don't think anybody would have an issue of, Ohio State playing at noon 3 or 4 times out this season.
No.
It's the lack of variety here, right? I mean,
and the lack of vibes. Let's just say it. Think about the college kids. I mean, vibes are a thing. And when you're watching these SEC teams kicking off in prime time, lights, flashing things, as my dad would say, farts and darts. I mean, it's exciting.
I mean, Ohio State's played a lot of really cool night games against non-conference teams through the years.
I was joking with Whitney. I was like, what's the point of the lights anyway?
Which, the shoe didn't have permanently until 2014, which that's a whole other tangent that we shouldn't go
Right.
down.
But we've seen this evolution in college football. I mean, ACC had it with Thursday Night Football. Remember Pac-12 After Dark? That was a thing. I just want to kind of air our grievances, if you will, because fans,
we're getting close to Festivus. This is a pre-Festivus.
Because I know the fans have been like, oh gosh, noon again. So
we got a lot of
fans, if you're listening, we're right there with you. Maybe not for the same reasons, but we're right there with you. Hey, one cool thing though, baseball stadium, Wrigley Field of all the baseball stadiums. Definitely going to be different. My experience with football in baseball stadiums, they're kind of cool for if you've never been, it's cool. You start realizing, this is kind of weird and kind of different. You really got to pad out, the end zones, because then, when you realize there's space in most football stadiums, no, that's a wall. Yeah. So, but Ryan Day and Will Howard talked about it a bit, playing at football stadiums. Kind of your thoughts going into what should be a unique environment.
The cool thing about Wrigley is obviously it's Wrigley Field, but you think about the football players who have played there, like Gale Sayers. I mean, I think Dick Buckus probably still played in Wrigley because Soldier I don't think was built yet when he played. Walter Payton. I mean, you think of these famous Chicago Bears who have played in there, and that's really cool. I'm personally not a huge fan of trying to squeeze a football field into a baseball stadium, but if you're gonna do it, Wrigley is cool. I mean, I think the Northwestern little stadium on the lake this season has been quite, the throwback has been fun.
Cute.
It's been fun. But, back to people watching. You got to put butts in the seats. There's more in Wrigley.
And I think from Ohio State's perspective of not making it a bigger deal than what it is, I mean, you can hear them embrace the situation and look forward to it, even though there are going to be some, different parts to this. Basically both end zones.
Like this much space.
I mean, it's like one of them is really close to the wall, and the other one's just close to the wall. But
half times like in the dugout.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
okay,
interesting.
And because of this, they're going to do a walkthrough on Friday, which they don't normally do week in and week out.
Thank God it's not normal Chicago weather. Thank goodness it's going to be nice.
Yeah,
and not typical.
Yeah,
if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, because I think Dave touched upon it earlier about the previous games and dealing with the wind in general in the Windy City. I guess we should talk a little bit of actual football. I think Ryan Day made a good point about not just relying on flashes of brilliance. Now they really need to find consistency, and I think they really did find that in that win over Purdue. And I think the message this week: don't avoid the letdown. You've had this really good win against Penn State. Then you avoided a letdown when you really went all at it, 4 quarters, 45-0 over the Boilermakers. Don't go in to this kind of unique situation and let it be a letdown. What's the attitude going into this one?
I mean, we're at the point here where they need to be playing their best football every game. They can't fall into a situation of playing down to an opponent and playing up, because obviously after the Northwestern game, they're going to be playing teams that can beat them every single week. So you need to be ready to go every single week, and why not be ready to go this week?
Or teams that are desperate to beat them, because whether it's an Indiana that needs that, big time win, Or a team up north who, nothing else needs to be said.
I think it's going to be a good game.
These are they're going to be coming in. I mean, this is their Super Bowl at this point.
100%.
That's the Super Bowl, and that is normally you're coming into that game both teams undefeated, and this is a different thing this year where this is it for Michigan. I mean, it doesn't matter. So you're right. They need to be consistently great, and that can be hard. And not look ahead. That can be hard too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And, again, this is the last road game of the regular season. So it's a really good kind of final test of how they can do in a unique environment before they finish out the regular season with 2 home games. So I think there's still a lot to look at. And obviously, as Dave mentioned, still a lot to play for. You don't want to lose a game and then lose a spot in the Big Ten title game as well. So lots of fun. Thanks for airing out our grievances about noon games and talking about playing in baseball stadiums. It should be a really fun matchup this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. That game is at noon, and of course we will have the post-game coverage. Of course, Big Ohio after Big Ten football on NBC. For Whitney Harding and Joe Nugent, I'm David DeGuzman. We'll talk to you soon.